Granger High School already has a no cell phone policy, but there could be a new policy coming to a school near you. I'll tell you about the new bill that was introduced here today.
Live at 5, Ashley, back to you.
All right, Dan, we will see you at 6:30 with that part of the story. Appreciate it. Now to Sandy, where students from a Sandy high school are mourning the loss of one of their own. A 16-year-old classmate, Keon Hamilton, actually died after a stabbing in the Mountain America Expo Center parking lot. This all happened Friday night. News specialist Shelby Lofton has been looking into this case and has that story.
Today, students returned to school after learning one of their peers, Keon Hamilton, died after he was stabbed. They've taken turns sitting at the trunk of this tree, which has now become a memorial to him. This all happened just before 9 p.m. Friday. That's when Sandy police said they got a call about a fight here in the southwest corner of the Mountain America Expo Center parking lot. When officers got here, Hamilton had been stabbed. He was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. Police say an underage suspect was identified and taken into custody. Now, this all happened around the time of the Jordan High School football game against Cedar Valley. The Sandy Police Department told me they are not doing interviews on this incident. In their release from Saturday, they said there are several complexities with this case due to the ages of those involved. Right now, we don't know what led up to the fight here in this parking lot. School and law enforcement officials have not said anything about Hamilton's involvement in that situation, but the sudden loss of a friend and teammate is very raw for much of the community, as we saw at the candlelight vigil honoring Hamilton last night.
This is, in my life, probably the hardest thing I've had to deal with. It was just so unexpected, and no one would have thought this would happen going into the game Friday night.
As police continue to look into this, we're also investigating what led up to this incident on Friday night that led to the loss of this young life. Coming up at 6, I'll show you a broader look at the area where this happened and where investigators may be searching for clues. For Live at 5, I'm Shelby Lofton.
So I'll send it back to you.
Lindsay, thank you. As soon as next school year, cell phones and smartwatches could be banned from all public schools in the state of Utah. That is the aim of a new bill set to be introduced next legislative session here. News specialist Shara Park joined us live from Granger High School, where a draft of that bill was announced today. And Shara, sounds like it has some support here.
Yeah, based on what we saw here today, Mike, it looks like it does have some support from the governor's office, as well as support from the Utah Board of Education. Now, this bill, it's called Devices in Public Schools, was announced, as you mentioned, here at Granger High School this afternoon by Senator Lincoln Fillmore and the Policy Project. And what it intends to do is create a statewide policy that prohibits students from using cell phones, smartwatches, or other devices that act like a cell phone during school hours. This bill, though it would be applied statewide, it would allow for individual school districts to create exemptions based on the needs of their students and their staff.
What this bill does is change the default, still allowing for full local control, but providing funding for districts to be able to implement, pouches or cubbies or whatever cell phone restrictions they decide at the local level.
A new cell phone ban is in place at Granger High School this year, and today we got to see how students unlocked their phones in those pouches as soon as the bell rang in the afternoon. According to the principal here at Granger, kids are paying more attention in class and they're more engaged with other students already thanks to this policy. We'll hear from some of those students and what they think about the ban and a statewide policy coming up tonight at 6:30. Now, this proposed bill is asking for the state to set aside $3.5 million to help the districts put this policy into place and to come up with whatever devices they decide to use to help that. We also know that the Policy Project is going to come up with private funding of their own and a blueprint to help these districts put this into place if this bill passes in this next session. We'll have much more on that coming up tonight at 6:30. But for now, Mike, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, hot topic here. All right, Shara, thank you. Still ahead, serious issues already plaguing the
Down in Florida.
As soon as next school year, cell phones and smartwatches could be banned from all public schools in the state of Utah. News specialist Shara Park joined us from Granger High, where a new bill was announced today.
Granger High School is a school with a new cell phone policy this year, but if this bill passes, every public school statewide could have a similar policy. At Granger High School, you won't see cell phones in the hallway. Instead, you might see these locked pouches. Just 9 days into the new school year, and Granger's new cell phone ban is already changing behaviors. Teachers are getting more done.
I've got teachers reporting to me that they have never fit so much stuff into the time that they have a class period.
And students are becoming more engaged.
And it's a good noise. It's kids who are at lunch and they're talking, and instead of a third of them disengaging and going onto their phones.
Today, Utah policymakers announced a bill for the next legislative session that would create a statewide cell phone and smartwatch ban in public schools, like the one at Granger.
We've lost enough of our kids' attention and emotional energy and ability to learn to this epidemic. We should have acted 10 years ago. We should have acted 5 years ago, but we will act now.
According to the bill, with private and state support, districts will be given money and a blueprint on how best to implement the ban. Districts that want to come up with their own policy still can.
What this bill does is change the default, still allowing for full local control, but providing funding for districts to be able to implement, pouches or cubbies or whatever cell phone restrictions they decide at the local level.
At Granger, students don't love being restricted from their cell phones during school hours.
I don't love it, but it is working.
But they do see the benefits of a cell phone policy.
I think it's good for students because it does let us focus more on classes and what's going on.
They hope each school will find a balance that will benefit everyone.
I think it's just nice to have the option of using it, but I think it's more just like self-trust and like if you want to take advantage of your education, you can do that.
This bill has the support of the governor's office and the Utah Board of Education, among others. To read the full draft of the bill, visit our website at KSL-TV.com. In West Valley, Shara Park, KSL-5 News.
Shara, thank you. Kevin, I was looking at that video. I saw lots of...
I'm Lindsay Ertz.
Lindsay, thank you. A piece of history making its way back to Salt Lake International Airport.
The iconic world map that used to be in Terminal 1 has now officially been placed in its new home. News specialist Brianna Chavez breaks down how crews pieced it back together.
As thousands of people make their way to the Salt Lake City airport, construction on Phase 3 of the new airport continues. And in several more weeks,
we wanted people to kind of feel and see the same thing that was here originally.
People will once again be able to say, "Meet me at the world map."
This portion was built in like in 1960.
The map graced the floors of the airport for 60 years, representing United Airlines flight routes.
It really was a puzzle.
John Kunz and his team were tasked with taking it apart. A task that he and others once thought would be impossible wasn't as bad as they thought.
Luckily, when it was built originally, they put a bond separation slip sheet, which was the savior.
It was placed in storage for several years.
There were 75 pieces.
Pieces were about 4 foot by 4 foot.
Jake Bingham's team was tasked with putting it back together.
We came through and pieced all the lines and the flight lines and making sure that our team could come in and get it right.
And now the map is ready for people to visit each continent in its new home in Concourse B.
This is something, we wanted everybody to see when they came here.
Brianna Chavez, KSL-5 News.
Ah, yeah, it's back. That's nice to see. Thanks, Brianna. This may not be as nice to see.